Is Steph Curry top 10? To me, this is a hard question because I think my natural inclination is to say yes, but also I'm pretty young. So a lot of the guys in that top 10, I didn't get to witness and see them play live. I think the only player in that top 10 that I've got to see like actually play during his career, or the only couple players would be LeBron, Kobe, Duncan. I think those are the only three that are sort of like consensus top 10 that I've been able to see. But yeah, so my natural inclination is to say yes, because I think that Steph Curry has a case as the greatest point guard of all time. I think that Steph Curry, he's one of the most impactful players of all time. I would say that he's probably like top 3 or 4 most impactful players to ever play the game, just because of the way that he brought about the 3-point revolution. Not just him, but him, Clay, the Warriors in general, but he was obviously the face of that 3-point revolution. But I also sort of struggle internally being willing to put a player as one of the 10 best who ever played the sport when they're a defensive liability. I mean, when you think about the people who are generally on that list, Jordan, LeBron, Magic, Duncan, Kareem, Bird, Kobe, all these kind of guys, and all the other players that anybody wants to throw on the list there, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, all of them were really good at offense and really good at defense. The only ones who you could say were kind of would be like Bill Russell wasn't amazing at offense, but he played in the 60s a long time ago. And so he kind of gets like the historical bias. But in general, most of the players there were incredible two-way players, and Curry is not that. So how do you feel about that? And do you think he's top 10?
I think you do have a point, and I could see you leaving on your top 10. I think he's my top 10, at least in the conversation. His impact offensively, the stress that he puts on your team is almost that of Jordan. And we saw so much this series where you had to have a second guy. I got to, have someone run up on like Steph, and it leads to a wide open three by someone else. So personally, I think because of that effect, he would be in my top 10. I'm not going to sit here and list my top 10. I mean, regardless, he would definitely be in my thought process. So I think so too. And he didn't need the finals MVP validation for me. I'm not trying to be prisoner of the moment or anything. And I know he hasn't had all of the playoff explosions like he has a regular season, but he just put such stress on a defense. And especially as a Spurs fan, and you experienced with this series, stressful, man. Stressful whenever he gets an open look or every time he hits a screen. And you see, every time I would see Derek White get stuck on the screen or Robert Williams be late to step up, I'd be like, oh, crap, he's going to pull it. Yeah, I think Steph Curry definitely deserves to be in that conversation. He would probably be in my top 10.
I'd probably put him in there. And I think he's probably the only player, maybe even in my top 15, that like isn't good at defense. But when I think about the guys in that sort of like 11 to 15 range, these aren't like, this isn't my exact list, but I'm thinking of just off the top of my head, guys like Hakeem Olajuwon or Oscar Robertson or players of that caliber. And I think Steph just doesn't feel like he's in that range. Like it feels like he's way better than those guys all time. I mean, he has 4 championships, which is more than all those dudes, but also just his impact on the game, the way that teams had to adjust to him specifically. Like there's been very few players, even like all-time greats, that opposing teams truly had to completely change the way that they play defense because of that one player. I would say, yeah, if I had to pick Steph Curry, I think he'd probably be in the top 10. I don't know what number, but I'd say he's probably closer to 10 than he is to 1. But I mean, he just won a championship, and I see no reason why he can't win another one. So maybe he'll get even higher in that list.
Yeah. I just want to emphasize the point too. I just put a group picture in our little group chat showing the pick and roll back in 05 with Chauncey Billups, where they were running it, as opposed to Steph Curry, and how far up even the I think as you see in that picture, Al Horford's like a couple feet above the 3-point line because you can't play drop coverage on Curry. So that just shows the mass difference that Steph, how he affects the game. You gotta completely stretches out your defense.
And the crazy part about that picture is that is the Celtics playing drop defense.
Yeah, the two
Like
they're
that
so
that is drop defense on Curry, and Al is past the 3-point line.
yeah.
So that, I mean, it's absurd.
So yeah, definitely deserves to be in the convo. But we both have him in our top 10.